Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How are you? Happy New Year. It has been a minute. My name is Gloria Gift Nankunda, and I officially welcome you to today's workshop, Beyond the Limits, Seniors Lead, courtesy of the Artists and Artisans Development and Network, and of course, the Government of Canada. Thank you so much for the support. A lot has been going on. It's 2021. How are you? It's the first time I'm on air, so I'm still a bit excited and I'm grateful to to be able to be talking to you right about now. How are you, people that are still traveling? I had a bit of travel and, you know, coming back was quite a treat, I must say. So, for those who are still coming back into the country, I wish you safe travels. And of course, the rest of us, as we try and get the hang of what 2021 is about, remember to keep holding on with all the COVID pandemic and everything. I know we have a lot of, so many things have changed by default, and we do not have a choice but to simply keep holding on, keep holding on. To those that have lost their loved ones, I still stand with you and I say, I'm so sorry for your loss, especially due to this pandemic. And I'm sending out only comfort and hugs to each and every single one of us. Otherwise, how are you? I welcome you all beyond the limits. Seniors Lead. This is a workshop for those who do not know. Again, brought to you, presented by the Artists and Artisans Development and Network. Artists and Artisans Development and Network has been around for quite some time. And of course, you were with us, actually. You were with us on in November and December and October as we worked on still elder abuse and violence against women. And this time round, we're looking at elder abuse, but beyond the limits. Afterwards, the healing, the recovery. That is what we're here to talk about. And we shall be having our speakers and, of course, a bit of some music right at the end. Just to give you a bit of history about the Artists and Artisans Development Network, founded in the year 2014 to provide resources and community development for artists and artisans who are immigrants to Canada. And they started out by helping people to participate in community events and to promote and display their work. As we speak right now, they have worked with over 500 artists. That is a big deal. In over 112 languages. The mission for Arts and Artisans Development Network is to provide support and opportunities for economic and social development to artists and artisans of all artistic practices who are newcomers to and from visible minority groups. How are you? You are very, very, very most welcome. And we're going to be having one of our speakers today. You might have seen him at our last workshop, but we brought him back because he's got a lot to share and we have a lot to learn from him. You're very welcome. Feel free to send us your comments on our Facebook Live, on our YouTube. Subscribe, please, because it's all about awareness. We can't know what we're dealing with unless we actually really look into it. So just to tell you a little bit about our speaker for today, who's going to be taking us through what beyond the limits. I wonder what that means to Eddie. Well, Eddie is actually a Ugandan Canadian, born and raised in a loving family of 19. Yes, he is a husband to one amazing wife with two gorgeous young men. He also holds a degree. Yes, he's been doing. You've met him before, haven't you? We have been here with Eddie for quite some time, and he is a family intervention worker. And at the same time, he holds a Master's of Divinity in Clinical Counseling, Psychotherapy from Tyndale University. He also holds a Bachelor of Arts, that is in Social Sciences, from Makerere University in Uganda. And he is trained in various applied suicide intervention skills training. What can I say? He is also an authorized child protective worker and also currently working with the York Children's Aid Society as a family intervention worker. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please give a warm welcome to Mr. Eddie Jumba. Eddie, where are you? How are you? I don't know how a bit of your sound is a bit low, but I will let my operator deal with that. Operator, how is that? Yes, please. Apologies, those that are watching. We apologize for the technical difficulties, but let's try and get that fixed. Is that okay? Yes. Well, as we adjust that, as you adjust that,
Is that
Brian,
better, Gloria?
let me know. Let me know what that is like. But I just also wanted, as we settle that out, apologies by the way for the technical difficulties, but we're trying hard to get that fixed. Yeah, did you know that 2 out of 3 people with dementia have actually been abused? So we've been talking about this, but now we're saying let's look at the recovery. Let us look at what happens. We want to hear also from some seniors, actually. What does that mean? Beyond the limits, seniors lead. And there's also been like 1 in 24 cases of elder abuse is reported. So, I mean, we still have a lot of work to do. We still have a lot of work to do, but it's going to be, it is our job to talk about these things. It is our job to, keep learning. It is our job to keep asking the right questions. It is our job to keep reaching out to even seniors and checking in with them, to those that we know have survived this. How have they managed to pick themselves up? What have they been able to do just to make sure that their life is back on track, or even to heal? It takes a lot. It takes a lot. So beyond the limit seniors lead, that is the workshop that we are encountering today, presented by the Artists and Artisans Development and Network, and of course with the support of the government of Canada. Eddie, are we back? Are we able to get you back? Let me see. Our operator, let me know. Hello? Oh dear. Now your sound is completely gone. Oh dear. Hello? We will get it fixed, don't
Maybe I
you?
should hold the microphone. Is that better?
Very much better. Very, very much better.
That's a good
And
thing.
clearer. Thank you. So we thank your technical person over there as well. So, how have you been? How are you, Eddie?
I've been well myself
Mhm.
under the circumstances. I am.
Could we get the microphone a little bit
I've
closer?
been well myself under the circumstances, and
Mhm.
I am delighted to be joining you here this time around.
Mhm. You were with us in October. You were with us in October and November. Yes.
That
What
is correct.
has yes? What has changed since then?
Yeah, I always want to hope that whenever we get together in such a way that we did, there's a
Hmm.
little, even if it's a tiny one, but there's a little seed that is planted. That is
Hmm.
always my hope. So, in
Hmm.
terms of what has changed on my own end,
Hmm.
I'm definitely more attentive to the reality of elder abuse,
Hmm.
a little bit more than maybe I was, because for me, if I'm going to talk about something, then I better be leaving that thing out. So
Hmm.
we called upon people last time when we met here in November, October. We called
Yes.
upon people to break the silence. We called upon people to be vigilant, to face the reality of elder abuse. So I have been
Hmm.
doing that on my own end, and
Hmm.
it's a little bit saddening when you're attentive to the reality of elder abuse.
Hmm.
It's saddening because when you're attentive, you will find what you're looking for.
Hmm.
If you
Absolutely.
ask, yeah, you will find it. And some people maybe have not just been attentive to it. Maybe that's why
Hmm.
they are not bothered or even thinking this is a thing that needs to be talked about.
Hmm.
But I've become a little bit more attentive, and that is the same pride and encouragement that I have for all of us, especially
Hmm.
our listeners here today, to be attentive to what is going on. And I think I shared this with you before in our quick chat there.
How is our sound? Let me check in with our sound. I want to make sure, Brian, how is our sound on your end? Because I have a bit of there's some shaking going on, or we need to change that.
Brian is saying that sound is terrible.
Yes, there is a bit of I don't know, the sounds and movements. Mm.
Is it the echo thing?
No, no, no. It's not the echo. It's there's just there's some sound around your sound. I don't know the technical word for it. Apologies once again to our viewers. I'm gonna give you a bit of time to fix that once again, please. Brian, yes, apologies, ladies and gentlemen. We're just getting the hang of it. Well, that is 2021 for you. And of course, when it's a live broadcast, anything can happen. I'm apologizing to all of us that are watching, but if you're on our YouTube channel, please remember to subscribe. If you're on our Facebook, please remember to share it. remember to be a part of the conversation and also share what your thoughts are on that. When you think about, you've just been hearing Eddie talking about how we called upon in November and October, we were about breaking the silence. We were about identifying what elder abuse is. We were about, what does that look like? Does it exist? It was about self-reflection. Have I participated? Have I been a perpetuator? It's also about letting the victims know that they're actually being abused. Yes. So now we're here to say beyond the limits, seniors lead. After that, after we've identified, then what happens? We would like to know, what does healing for a victim of elder abuse look like? What does that? And that's why we have Eddie, as he's getting his paperwork, as he's getting his sound ready. Again, once again, we apologize for just a simple technical difficulties, but otherwise, again, just to let you to know a bit about the arts and artisans. Yes, our vision is to create a platform that brings awareness to underrepresented members of the community. Together, we will promote intercultural understanding, collaboration, and community building. Yes, that is what Artisans is all about. That is better. Now we take out the echo part. Yes.
Help us with this sound. It is so clear from where we are at. I just want to double check if on your end it is better. It is so crystal clear where we're at.
Yes. So now we have a bit of an echo. Do we deal with that from the part of the broadcast? These technical things, man.
Oh, welcome to this world of technical issues right in the moment.
Yes, and it is a part of a world that we're living in today, since everything is digital.
And how do you handle that moment when something you had planned so well, something you rehearsed, doesn't play out the same way you had anticipated? How do you handle that moment?
Well, now you can see that is where that's the job of the host. You know, you have to keep everything running, and with hope that you're able to solve whatever issues are going on.
My sound partner here wants to hear a comment from you. How is the sound right now?
Much, much better. I can hear you clearly, and I think we're okay for now to go on. So, and then as we deal with the echo cancellation, as you deal with it, Eddie, let's just dive back into the conversation. As you were changing, I was reminding people that you reminded us that in November and October, we called people to break the silence. We were identifying, and I think I learned something from you when we were doing our homework yesterday. You talked about something called naming it to shame it.
Yeah.
We have done that. So just to bridge from where we were in November, October to the conversation we're about to have now, could you just talk a little bit about that in particular, sir?
Absolutely, yeah. Just so you know, actually, Gloria, to that question, there was feedback because, as you know, I am part of a church community. And at that very session, when we were talking, you and I and the people that were in the studio, many people from my community, from my church family, were listening in. And that event sparked conversations that probably would not have been there if it wasn't for that event.
Wow, that's great news.
Of hearing some things within our church family that maybe I would never have heard if it wasn't for that conversation. So I want to thank you. I don't think I ever took the time to actually specifically thank you for this.
Oh, you're very kind. I hope our client, that is the Arts and Artisans Development and Network, is hearing, because that is a big deal. And that's why I was glad that we started the conversation. It is something, it's a start. It is a start. So to hear such feedback, we are very, very grateful.
It's a start and it's an invitation. I am confident that this individual, at least the one who came up a senior to share something with me, came up because something in this conversation landed as an invitation for her to speak about this particular incident, which I won't get into. But I just remember that because of that conversation, you never have actually a way of knowing who you are impacting, who you are prompting, that little seed that I talked about. So I just want to say that after the conversation, one of the things that have happened, at least in my community here, in the close family here, is that at least a specific individual got up to speak to me about an incident, which of course I had to do some follow-ups, and it turned out to be a very beautiful conversation. Not comfortable.
Of course not. Of course not.
Comfortable, that much I will tell you. It turned out to be a very beautiful conversation. So that is just an example of the things that have happened to us during the time we last spoke and now.
Yes. And now here we are. That's a great start for the conversation. We are talking about recovery. We are talking about beyond the limits seniors lead. First and foremost, as a person who is, you're into counseling, you're into therapy, you are a family intervention worker. I want to hear from your perspective, what does just the statement alone, elder abuse, beyond the limits seniors lead, what comes to your mind?
This is what comes to my mind, Gloria. Very important question as we took a time to talk about it. Thing that jumps out for me when I hear that statement is this whole idea of letting the seniors be the lead. I want to use that same word in the statement there. Be the lead in this conversation. If you're going to be authentic, if we're going to be successful, I could even use that word. I like to be outcome oriented. If this is going to yield anything, we definitely have to let the seniors take the lead. And when I heard that statement, the way it was put there, I'm like, this is very powerful. If any conversation is particularly about violence, because abuse, the other word that I interchange with abuse is the word violence. And some people say, Pastor, but that's like a big word, but that is what it is. Because you cannot abuse someone without violating them.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there is no better way of looking. It's an assault. It's something wrong.
Yes.
So I hear you. I hear you in that regard.
It takes away from their dignity, away from their worth when you abuse somebody. So I am very comfortable to use the word violence interchangeably with the word abuse. So when I hear seniors lead beyond the limits, I hear this much needed attitude that we need to go with if we are to talk about elder abuse in a way that is going to yield anything.
Yes, and that is, I'm very glad because we have somebody who will be joining us a little bit later as a senior, and they will be, we shall hear from their perspective, just like you've suggested. Now, going back to you, Eddie, in terms of your experience, once again, some of the case studies, what are some of those indicators that you have identified that have helped people move on? Yes. And they're now in the process of recovery. What have you identified and said, when I spoke to so and so, this worked for them, or they came and told me that they did what I advised them to do, and here they are? Because we need to know that we are now in the recovery mode. What are some of those things that will help people get back into society, not as victims now, but as people in the process of healing?
Correct. Very wonderful question, Gloria. So I'll take you to two places of my life as a therapist, but also as a family intervention worker. Actually, the other place I'll take you to is my life as a chaplain, because I work in the hospitals as chaplain. One of the things that I have found to be in almost 100% of the time, whenever it has been present, is this thing, we call it a family group conference. Now, a family group conference is this arrangement where the family leads the conversation. Yes, there is a facilitator, there is a mediator, or a therapist, or a counselor, something like me. But the idea is that the family is going to lead the conversation. Now, in the incidence of where the conversation needed to be centered on the elder person in the family who had experienced abuse, when the family had expressed willingness to have a conversation and to allow the elder person or the violated person speak their truth, like we say these days, they let the person speak their truth, as uncomfortable as it was, it turned out to be one of the most rich conversations for this family. And I can be a little bit more specific in, let me go to the hospital. So in my life, when I'm at the hospital, and I know that it's not a thing that happens to everyone, but I have the opportunity of joining people when they're at their hospital beds. Something about those moments when somebody's lying in the hospital bed, something about it brings up so many family conversations. Some of you may or may not know that the hospitals have social workers.
Mm-hmm.
But that is when hospital social workers become so busy, because during that time, families, I don't know, I won't try to put an explanation to it. Families tend to find it to be the right time to talk about things they would rather not talk about, to talk about things that they hadn't talked about for a long time. And it is very common that one of the conversations will bring out incidences of elder abuse. Now, only families that have been willing to engage in this conversation as a group are the families where we have seen a very rich conversation when it comes to some repair, some forgiveness, some healing.
And support to know that finally they need to hear from me as a victim or as somebody healing. It's great to know that I'm not in this alone, and I think like finally someone wants to hear me.
Yes.
In that regard, I would say.
Yeah. So the two tools there I would highlight, if you're in a hospital or if you are in the child welfare system and you really want to utilize this service, it's there. So one is called Road to Resolution. It's a service that all mediating government-led mediating services offer, and really they are focused on letting the individual in the family who has been violated, you let them lead this conversation. It's guided, it is really safe, it is facilitated, but the key point is that the person who was violated is the one who is leading this conversation.
And in your experience, just to jump in, Eddie, what has that been like? How receptive have some of the family members been? Especially the first session, for example, because that is also something to talk about. Not the mere fact that the family has engaged does not mean that people are actually willing to listen. Because when these things start coming out, emotions are going to get out of hand. So in your experience, what has that been on the side of the family? Because now, as much as we're looking at the recovery of the victims alone, we also have to look at the people helping them with the recovery. How has that been for you?
Yeah. You used a very important word there, receptive. How receptive have the families been? Now, you've heard of that coined the phrase that it gets worse before it gets better.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
When families at the end of the day decide to engage in these difficult conversations, I'll be lying to you, which I have no gain in doing, if I tell you that, yeah, once the family said, yes, let's have the family group conference, it's called, we call it a family group conference. I'll be lying to you that every single one of them goes smooth from the point of starting. Some members have had to storm out of the room, but all that is okay. I think there's barely anything you can do that will catch me off guard.
It's a part of the process, basically.
I like how you put it.
Yes, it is a part of the process, because I don't want people to think that whatever we are sharing, as much as it is about awareness, because you don't want to go in expecting, oh, that's how it's going to be, because that's what Eddie said. It is a part of the process for some people to not want to hear or to acknowledge the conversation at hand.
And usually that's one of the factors that prevent people from engaging in this conversation. The fear of how it is going to go. You worry that, okay, now if I tell my grandchild that his mom one time did ABCD to me, knowing how my grandchild loves me, I fear what that is going to do to the relationship between my grandchild and my daughter. And some elderly people, that's a valid fear.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because they're trying to maintain the harmony in the home. That is how families sit on secrets, because they worry that, oh, but now if I bring this up, I wonder what it's going to do to the dynamics of the family. I fear what it's going to do. And now, even worse, the elderly person, they fear that I wonder how my support is going to look like from that person who I have called out. So it is not realistic for you and I maybe to give any impression that all the time the conversations have been smooth. But I always take you back to the motive. The motive. If the motive of you saying, okay, yes, count me, among the people that are going to sit in that room.
Mm-hmm.
If your motive is to try to move past the incident, to try to move to even a step of so many thousands of steps that might need to be taken, a step towards that healing journey, it is worth it. It is a motive that I encourage people to keep their eyes focused onto the motive, regardless of how the first session goes, because the first session can bring so many things out, and it might look like it has not gone anywhere. It might look like it's just a disaster, but it's always that idea that things can get worse before they can get better.
That is a brilliant way of ending just that particular topic of family and a road to resolution. I've just learned that. That is very, very important. Just in case you've joined us, you are watching Beyond the Limits, Seniors Lead, as we discuss elder abuse and people recovering and moving forward and healing. And this is brought to you by the Government of Canada, supporting the Artisans Development and Network. Our guest speaker is Eddie Jumba, a psychotherapist and a family intervention worker. Eddie, what other tools do you have to share in terms of in your experience once again, because I'm talking to you as a therapist, as somebody who has been in those rooms, as a person who has led a road to recovery, to resolution. What other tools have you seen your I would call them patients in this case, engage and actually led to their recovery beyond the suffering?
Yeah, so one of the things that I know that, and I know there are some efforts, but it is true that there's a lot that needs to be done when it comes to reporting. You hinted on it there at the beginning. When you, and I'm just trying to borrow a positive example. When you look at the child welfare system, for the most part, people are very aware of it's called the duty to report. People are fairly aware of that. Teachers, pastors, any people that are in a form of a caregiving role, doctors and nurses in the hospitals, in the long-term care, they're very aware of duty to report when it comes to children. There's a lot of work that needs to be done when it comes to reporting elderly abuse. And so the reason it's ironic that you asked me for a tool and I'm talking about reporting, because one of the reasons that the abuse has been perpetuated is because people, for whatever reasons, hesitate to mention it. They hesitate to report.
There's a certain fear. There is a certain hold on onto reporting.
And it's the reality of this beast. I would even use that word, this beast abuse, because the elderly person has very valid concerns. But if I open my mouth and say a thing about this, I worry about what is going to come out of my reporting. Also, besides the person who is the victim themselves, besides that, the people that are around them. The way, unfortunately, that sometimes is just okay to just let that pass when they won't let that pass if it was a child. So that person really also has a very high level of vulnerability because a lot of their needs depend on another person meeting them. And I think as a tool, before we focus on the other tools of solving, we can also focus on this very initial step of being vigilant about reporting, knowing that if you give me, if I was to give you a percentage of reporting and not reporting, what in terms of outcome, because I'm very outcome oriented, the chances are always higher that whenever people reported, things turned out to be better for everybody involved, for the elderly person, for the senior, for the family members. Whenever the report happened, things turned out to be better compared to the other family that refused to report. So as a best practice, I'm encouraging people to feel okay, to be okay, and to trust that there's good that comes out when...
I would just add a bit on what you're saying. I think more about the courage to actually step up and report, because it doesn't necessarily have to be happening in your family to know that. But if you identify it and then you don't report it, then that's on you. So
You are
I would add that
perpetuating.
we need the courage to do that.
When you see it and you don't report it, you are perpetuating it. Now that's a disturbing way to think about abuse. Our seniors, our custodians of wisdom. If we don't report it, we are perpetuating. If we don't report it, we are contributing to it.
How about in the same spirit? I was just, I don't know if you, how much social media you're engaged in, Pastor, but there was a video that has been circulating lately of where it was the opposite now. Now the elder was abusing the caretaker. And, you know, I see people sharing and saying, oh, how can you? And because the person is abroad. I want you to mention just a little bit about that, as I'm hoping that our elder joins us. So please make sure you let me know when our elder is about to join us. But I just want to.
I've seen the video, actually. I know the video you're talking about.
Yes. What was that like? Because we also don't want to foster, there is a word I'm looking for. But anyway, please, I want to hear your 2 cents on that video.
I have seen the uproar. I'm going to start by a statement. Violence, no matter who is perpetrating it, no matter who is perpetrating the violence, is not okay.
Period.
Violence of any form, shape, level, name, color, define it whichever way you want, no matter who is perpetuating it, is not okay. Now, that statement, I am speaking to the lady in the worker in the video who was being violated. It is not okay. This is me validating that if that worker got upset, if that worker got angry about what was happening to her, of course, that anger is valid. That is where I'm going to start. This is I can extend this example a little bit. We hear of many incidences of what are they called? Child and youth workers. We hear of many incidences of people that support individuals with disabilities. We hear many incidences of where they are abused. We hear many instances where they are violated. Spitting, they get things like that. The individual will spit on you. The individual will kick you when they are having a meltdown. It is not okay. Nobody gets up in the morning, Gloria. Nobody gets up at 8 in the morning, gets ready to go get violated at work. Nobody gets up and is signing up for that. So I start at that point of validating any anger from the person who has been on the receiving end of the violence. But now, here is how I conclude this, my response to that question, which is a sensitive one, I have to say.
It is sensitive, but it is also a reality.
It is a reality.
And that's why I want to really hear what your thoughts are on that in particular, to learn, because we are all about awareness today. So I am listening,
in
sir.
the caregiving profession, there's such a thing as a caregiving. So it's in the word, caregiving profession. There are ethics that govern caregiving. It's a thing. Caregiving is a thing. It's not some random people end up doing a job. No, caregiving is a thing. Now, caregiving profession, it is it is a duty on our end. It is a duty on our end to do no harm. To do no harm. But doing no harm is sometimes not enough. We also have to do good. Now, these are the ethics that govern the caregiving, any caregiving profession, whether you're a doctor, a social worker, a mental health worker, a therapist. These are very core principles that we always have to uphold. Let me put it in plain language, that no matter how much my patient violates, offends, or abuses me, I cannot respond in a way that contradicts any of those ethics that I've just talked about. Duty to do good, duty to do no harm. There are fancy words for that, but it comes to no matter how the patient is treating you, you as a caregiving professional, this is a very dear subject for me, You as a caregiving professional, you have a duty to do good. You have a duty to do no harm. This is what I'm going to, that's where I'm going to end with that conversation.
And I just love that, because at the end of the day, it's bringing me back to the topic, are we beyond the limits? Because that's a limit in its own, being, I'll use the word assault, because I saw this lady spitting on another human. I mean, I get it, but hey, life can be it's a very sensitive subject, to be very honest. And
Yes, I'll give you a more simplistic example, and
yes,
everything about me here will reduce or try to dissolve or to minimize the reality that it's not okay to abuse anyone, period.
That's it.
But think of a child, for example. This is an example that maybe tries to emphasize what I'm trying to say. A child you're taking care of, maybe you're changing their diaper and they pee on you. And this is a thing. It's a thing. Trying to change their diaper and they pee on you. Or sometimes they literally kick you. I mean it, not because their leg was moving and it happened to kick you. No, they actually kick you. You as a parent, in that moment, you have just been tested on how to handle anger, how to handle frustration, how to handle violence of another person, in a way that does not harm that person. There's so much teaching about it's called non-violence crisis prevention strategies. There's a thing. It's a training that all caregiving professionals are required to take, and you have to renew it every year. I can say this in so many different ways. All I need to summarize here is that as a caregiving professional, no matter how much our client will violate or offend or abuse or disrespect or do all those things, we always have to uphold the duty to protect, not the duty to do no harm, and the duty to do good. So it's a benevolence and patience. Yes.
It's amazing, because when we think beyond the limits, seniors lead, I love that we're having this discussion, because it's not just about, like I say, the victim's healing. It's also about our role, like you said, as caregivers. So to know that no matter what the person does to you, you cannot respond with harming them. You cannot respond. Your duty is to simply protect, is to simply, so it's also a part of healing. If you think about it, it's also a part of how we are going to help these seniors get to lead, because as much as it is a limitation, it is also a tool to lead us to healing and recovery. Wouldn't you agree, sir? Absolutely. In this particular regard, beyond the limit seniors lead, I think that's what I picked from your talk right now.
I would definitely agree 100%. It is something that we can also benefit from by letting them lead, by letting them really direct the conversation.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you keep, you bring you talk about, you use examples of a child, and then you bring us back, because they tell us that as we grow older, we literally start behaving like children once again. And when you think about what's happening in the long-term care centers, I mean, it's exactly that. So I love the fact that you're bridging being a child and an elder, because at the end of the day, we're all headed there. We are all headed there.
So I'll give you an example. When we receive let's a phone call, and somebody's trying to, so every phone call that comes in about abuse, at least children abuse, it's now the less or the lower the age of the child, the higher the severity of the incident in terms of coding it. It's the same thing to the elderly person. The older the person is, we know that they deteriorate in many ways, physically, also cognitively. Their mental capacity deteriorates, and it impacts how they respond to life circumstances.
Absolutely.
It does impact how to respond to, for example, how would they respond to a meal that maybe they have thought of as a meal that wasn't good? It impacts how they respond to that moment. How they respond to maybe a seemingly simple fall, maybe they fall. It impacts how they respond to all these things that are going to happen to them. So you and I, we all of us are caregivers. We cannot disregard that. It's a factor. It's a factor that plays into how they are going to behave, and we have a duty. We do have a duty to not harm. We have a duty to do good. I can say that as many times as I need to. And I know that any caregiving professional who is going to be truthful or honest and respectful of their calling, they are not going to disagree with duty to do no harm and duty to do good. Is it always easy? No, it's not.
Absolutely not. Yes.
Easy. We are not talking. That's not even what the conversation is about. We wouldn't be having this conversation if it was easy.
Well, Eddie Jumba, I can't say thank you so much on behalf of the Artisan Development and Network. Thank you so much for your presence. Thank you for you've mentioned family and support. You've mentioned a road to resolution. I love that. These are all things that are going to help seniors take the lead, regardless of the limits at hand. You talked about
utilize these. Maybe I'm so familiar with York Region, but I know that every York Region also has a version of in Toronto. Families can actually request for these services. Sometimes they just call it mediation, but it's more specific than just mediation in general. It's a family group led conversation to attend to any form of abuse that happens in a family.
And also from your talk and I learned something to do with reporting and the fact that we do have a duty to report, and you use the particular word, we each have a duty to be vigilant in reporting, which is also helping us with the healing and the caregiving, and the fact that caregivers have absolutely no right to respond with violence just because the person they're looking after has been violent. I can't thank you enough, Eddie. I don't know if you've got any last words, because we're going to move into the last part of this workshop is to have a bit of music, and I have an amazing featured performer for the day. But thank you so much. Beyond the Limits, Seniors Lead. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Eddie Jumba. Any final words, sir?
My final words so because it's a sensitive conversation there where we need to land. We need to land on the word validating. So we do validate any family member that has been on the receiving end of violence, whether that one is a senior, whether that one is not a senior. But to be able to even take the first step towards this conversation, we have to allow ourselves to be discomforted by the fact that the person who has been violated, in this case, the senior, has to lead the conversation. I think I will end there. I thank you, and I pray that this conversation will touch somebody, and it will be a seed that will continue this conversation.
Well, thank you very much, and for your presence as well and time. Well, at the end of this workshop, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a featured performer by the names of Leslie Hewlett, an amazing singer-songwriter, percussionist, born in Nassau, that is in the Bahamas, where he came to Canada as in his 20s, and he has played with very many other artists like the Library Silva, Eddie Boland, Chris Smith, and many others. And in the last few years, he has been doing music with Eric and Laurent, Natalie Wong, Natalie. I've had the pleasure of seeing him on stage, and oh my God, I'm in awe of you, Leslie. And you already know that. He says that music is food and music is life. Ladies and gentlemen, to help us process everything that we've learned today and listened, this is Leslie Hewlett.
The moon, let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, darling, kiss me. Fill my heart with song. Let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for. all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. Oh, in other words, oh, in other words, oh, in other words, I love you. I saw the light on the night of the past my window. I saw the flickering shadows of love on the blind. She was my woman. As she deceived me, I watched and went out of my mind. Why, Delilah? My Delilah. I could see that girl was not good for me, but I was lost like a slave that no man could free. I'd pray to the day when that man drove away. I was waiting. I crossed the street to a house and then she opened the door. She stood laughing. I felt a knife in my hand and she laughed no more. Why, Delilah? My Delilah. So before they come to break down the door, forgive me, Delilah, I just couldn't take it anymore. Couldn't take anymore. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh yeah. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, a bright blessed day, and the dark say goodnight. And I think to myself, What a wonderful world. Oh yeah. Think to yourself, what a wonderful world. Colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky. Also on the faces of people walking by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, people, I love you. I hear babies crying. I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh yes. I think to myself, what a wonderful world. When I see the colors of the rainbow, oh, they're so pretty in the sky. I see the smile on faces we haven't seen for a while. They go walking by. I miss that, I miss that, I miss the people, I miss touching, hugging, I miss my family. But this is one where we can send out love and kindness. And for all the frontline workers, God bless you. People that work out there and take care of others, God bless you. Yeah, you're wonderful. May your angel be above you and guide you where you need to be. And bring us all out of the dark darkness in 2021. But I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh, yeah. Kindness.
Wow. Leslie, what a pleasure, my dear.
Thank you for having me.
It is.
I am happy to be a part of your show, and you guys do good work. Blessings to all of you nice people.
Thank you so much for your kind
Be
words.
well, and peace.
Lovely. Thank you so much. That you've heard from the amazing singer-songwriter, percussionist Leslie Hewlett, and also you can find him on all his social media. And why not? Thank you so much, Arts and Artisans, for providing us such a platform where we get to have all artists from all ranges, from whatever kind of art you do. Well, Arts and Artisans Development Network has a platform for you. Thank you so much for being a part of the Beyond the Limit Seniors Lead workshop. We discussed elder abuse, and now we're looking at the other part of recovery, of healing. And I have somebody who I would love to. Are we able, Brian? Are we able to get her on screen? Are we able? Yes. Good afternoon, Mrs. Juliet Ntege. How are you doing?
I'm good, dear. How are you?
Good to see you. And thank you so much for being a part of this workshop.
Okay, thank you for letting me in.
Yes, we were here discussing, Beyond the Limits Seniors Lead, and you happen to be a senior. And I wanted to pick your mind when they asked me, they said, I wonder what comes to her mind when she hears Beyond the Limits Seniors Lead. And in case you didn't know, in the past we were discussing elder abuse, and we identified and now we were discussing about recovery and healing. From your point of view, what does that look like?
Recovery and healing after being
Yes.
abused.
Yes. We're
Still
looking at
recovery, yeah. I think you will need to have like family members you trust around, though some abuses, they are from family members, yeah, sometimes. So depending on whom you are living with, or they trusted you with somebody, and yeah, sometimes, yeah, abuse comes from people very close to you.
And from your experience, or maybe I know that you also are a volunteer coordinator at the Canada Center for Victims of Torture. What has been your experience meeting people who are in recovery or who are seeking to recover in this case?
Yeah, at my place of work, they are not like seniors, but they are victims of torture from war-torn countries. So when they come to Canada, we help them with settlement services. So those are like the kind of individuals we help. Yeah, though some families, they bring their seniors, they are like parents in after settling. So those seniors, we have some groups where they come, to break isolation. So that's when they get a chance, they open up. I'm living with my daughter. She comes, she can yell at you when she comes back, and you haven't cooked and you haven't cleaned here. When they get a chance to open up, they open up. But when they are home, whom are they going to tell? If he's her daughter and the grandchildren, whom is she going to open up to? So when they get a chance to get somebody outside the home, they open up. Yeah, they open up. Yeah.
Wow. Well, and I'm glad that you talked about that, because I was very curious when I got to find out that you were a volunteer coordinator for the CCTV, and just the experience. And let's talk about more in terms of helping them recover, like afterwards, and helping them resources. Talk about the resources that you do offer.
Okay, like I mentioned, that we get those support groups where they come together and they meet other like community members from their community. So they feel like at home, though they are in Canada, to come and, meet other seniors. They talk, they feel like they're at home.
They
so
belong.
It helps them, yeah, to open up, to have some space to breathe, around. They are like, they are whatever, stress. Yeah. So they is to support them to connect to like welfare, to get financial support, and any other opportunity that comes up, and we get to know as a center. So we help them to connect with such agencies.
Amazing. Well, I know you came in at a very short time, but I want to say that I appreciate you so much. It's the information, it's what you're sharing that is very important. And it doesn't matter that we've spent just a few minutes. Thank you so much for your presence, Mrs. Ntege Juliet. And we look forward to having you on the workshop one of these days.
Oh, all right.
Yes,
all right.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so
I'm
much.
Still WhatsApp senior, okay? So I enjoy it. I'm still enjoying WhatsApp.
You're still, you are our WhatsApp senior. You're doing great. That is what being beyond the limits means. Seniors, because you're in class, you're in present, everything is digital. Look at you. You know how to use StreamYard.
Exactly. So I tried my best.
You are doing great, my dear. You're doing great.
Thank you, Gloria. Thank you, Gloria.
All right. Have a lovely afternoon.
I missed the beginning of the session.
You can watch it on Facebook. You can watch it. I'll send you a link.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you so much.
Thank you,
Ladies and
Gloria.
gentlemen, you have just been hearing from one of our seniors. We want seniors to be a part of the conversation of this workshop. It is called Beyond the Limit Seniors Lead. You just had Madame Montega here talk about the fact that she is a senior who knows how to use WhatsApp. That alone is Beyond the Limit Seniors Lead. And I'm grateful to end on such a beautiful note. I take this a moment to say thank you so much to the team behind this broadcast, Brian, Brian's and Koyo. Great job. Thank you for being an amazing operator. Shirin Mandani, our leader, thank you so much for being a great guide. Marikam and Taylor, I can't thank you enough. To the board of directors for the Artisans Development Network, we thank you so much. I'm not forgetting the government of Canada for the support to bring this workshop to life. Join us again next Saturday at exactly 2 p.m. as we continue to explore elder abuse beyond the limits seniors lead workshop. Thank you so much. My name is Gloria Gift Nankunda, and I'll see you again next Saturday at exactly 2 p.m. Cheers.